Welcome back to Lex on the Record, where we cover Black history that wasn't taught in school. I'm your host, Lexi Nicole. Here we tell the stories that were whispered, buried, or deliberately left out. Not because they were important, but because they were powerful. And today's story is one of the boldest examples of that. Today, we're talking about a woman who did something almost unthinkable for her time. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't wait for laws to change or for society to catch up. Instead, Sis took a page out of Mulan's handbook. She changed her name, she changed her clothes, and she changed the rules. This is the story of Cathay Williams. Cathay Williams was born into slavery in 1844 in Independence, Missouri. From the very beginning, her life was shaped by limitations, limited freedom, safety, and choices. And yet, even before the Civil War ended, Cathay had already seen more of the country, more of conflict, and more of survival than most people ever would. During the Civil War, she was forced to work for the Union Army as a cook and as a laundress. Not as a soldier, not as someone with rank or protection. But she was close enough to see how the military worked from the inside. She watched soldiers march. She watched the officers command. She watched how uniforms changed how people were treated. And most importantly, she watched how power moved. When the Civil War ended, freedom was promised, but it came without security. There was no money waiting, no stable housing, no protection. For Black women especially, the path forward was narrow and unforgiving. There, of course, was domestic work, laundry, or silence. But Cathay Williams wanted more than survival. She wanted independence, steady pay, and control over her own future, not a life that was dependent on someone else's goodwill. So in 1866, Cathay made a choice that directly challenged the law and the limits that were placed on her. She cut her hair, she put on a uniform, and she enlisted in the United States Army under the name William Cathay. At a time when women weren't allowed to vote, weren't allowed to serve, and weren't even considered full citizens, Cathay Williams joined the Army. And not just any Army unit, she became a part of the Buffalo Soldiers. Now, for context, the Buffalo Soldiers were all Black regiments that were tasked with some of the harshest and most dangerous assignments on the Western Front. These soldiers built roads, guarded supply lines, and fought in brutal conditions. And Cathay Williams did all of this while carrying a secret that could potentially end her life if she were discovered. She endured illness, exhaustion, and injury because remember, the Army was not designed for her body, her health, or her safety, but she stayed for nearly 2 years. Think about that. For almost 2 years, Cathay Williams lived as a soldier in a world that refused to acknowledge she belonged there. Eventually, and unfortunately, her health began to fail. She was hospitalized multiple times, and in 1868, doctors discovered the truth. Cathay Williams was discharged from the Army, not with honors, not with benefits, not with recognition. Her service, of course, was erased, but her courage wasn't. After leaving the Army, Cathay tried to survive in a country that still offered her very little. She worked as a cook, she worked as a laundress, and later in life, she became the first woman to apply for a military pension based on her service. Now, her request was denied despite the uniform, despite the years served, and despite the proof she was able to provide. History had once again chose to look away. And this is where I want to pause because Cathay Williams' story forces us to ask an uncomfortable question. How many people were told no, not because they lacked ability, but because they threatened tradition? Cathay didn't serve for attention. She didn't serve to make a statement. She served because she needed an opportunity. And when the door was closed, she didn't knock, she busted the door down. What makes Cathay Williams extraordinary isn't just that she disguised herself, it's that she understood something deeply strategic. She understood that access changes outcomes, that uniforms carry authority, that systems don't change on their own. They're challenged by people bold enough to test their limits. Cathay Williams may not have received the recognition she deserved in her lifetime, but today her story stands as proof of something powerful. Black women have always been willing to do the impossible, even when history refused to make room for them. She wasn't supposed to be there, but she was. And because of that, the story of who belongs in uniform and who gets to serve is forever changed. This is Lex on the Record, where we cover Black history that wasn't taught in school. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like the episode, subscribe to the channel, because these stories don't survive unless we keep telling them. And I'll see you in the next one.
Stay bold, stay kind, till we meet again. This is our history, our power, our pain.